few podcasts ago, I talked about the 5 fools, and they are the foolish fool, the intellectual fool, the emotional fool, the physical fool, and the zero fool. I want to focus in this podcast on the zero fool because I didn't really speak about it very much in the previous podcast, and it's actually the most important part. Now, the foolish fool is the person who believes in life, and this is the default state for human existence. We are all driven by the will to life, the need to continue with our existence, to procreate, and to assume as much power as we can in life, because power represents a more potent form of life for us. So we believe in life, we believe in acquiring stuff, in achieving position, maybe fame, money, power of various kinds. And most of us do this fairly unconsciously. We start in early life, we decide that we're going to get married at some point, and we decide that we're going to acquire stuff and have a career, and you know it as well as I do. What we don't tend to realize is that everything costs something. Everything, doesn't matter what you decide to do or pursue, is going to cost something. If you want to acquire a large amount of money, then you're probably going to dedicate most of your life to achieving that. And then when you get it, I can guarantee, because it's what happens to people with money, they kind of feel cheated that it didn't deliver more to them than they thought it might do. They still breathe the same air as everybody else. The sun still shines on them like it does everybody else. The rain is the same for them. Pretty much most of what they do is the same as for everybody else. They walk in the same forests and mountains, and it's really just the over-elaborate stuff that they can access with money, which in the main is fairly disappointing. Anyway, people who believe in life end up investing most of their time and effort in life, and by life I'm talking about maintaining your life, acquiring some power in life, and procreating. And at the end of life, many of those people will believe that they've possibly missed opportunities, there's a certain amount of disappointment, and so on. And I talked about that fairly extensively in the previous podcast, so I won't go on about it. And then we have the people who don't believe in life and believe that their dominant feature, which might be their intellect or their emotions or their physical prowess, are the things that they can use to build some kind of superstructure that kind of makes them immune from life in some kind of way. In reality, these things are just elaborations on the foolish fool. It's an attempt to acquire more stuff. For the intellectual, it's more knowledge, more systems maybe. For the emotional person, the emotional fool, it's more rarefied emotions maybe, more emotions. And for the physical fool, it's greater health, well-being, all that kind of stuff. They're just attempts to acquire more stuff and more power, albeit they believe that they are somehow building a superstructure on top of what might appear to them to be a largely futile and meaningless life. So it's worth pointing out that when these intellectual, emotional and physical traits become exaggerated, they all lead towards violence. violence towards others and violence towards oneself. An intellectual person may become fairly callous towards other people and callous towards themselves, just believing that what they can think is the only thing that really matters. Same with an emotional person. They may become zealous and feel that their belief, their emotional intensity is something other people should in some way give preference to, and they indulge in extreme emotions because the last emotion they had wasn't enough, so they need something a bit more extreme. The same with a physical person. It all leads to violence. Now, I mentioned the ZeroFool. The ZeroFool is the most difficult thing on earth for anyone to become. In fact, even the word become is misleading because it sounds like it's something we need to achieve. In actual fact, to become the ZeroFool is a process of deconditioning. It's a process of relaxing, of letting go. And you can't try to let go. You either see the futility of the whole effort, not only the effort of the foolish fool who believes in life, but the effort of the intellectual, the emotional, and the physical fools. Their efforts to somehow contain life within their emotional or their intellectual or their physical activities. It's only when you reach that state of disappointment with all of those things that something within you says, okay, it's all bullshit. Let's just forget all that stuff and relax into what is happening right here and now. It sounds like it's an effort. It's not something you can do. It's something that basically you are released from. It's the best way I can put it. So let me quote a few quotes from people who seem to have achieved the status of the ZeroFool. Lao Tzu, in his Tao Te Ching, which is the pivotal document of the Taoist movement, said a few things that are quite interesting. You can see one here. He says, "The secret waits for the insight of eyes unclouded by longing." As long as you have longing, even the longing to have no longing is a perversion. Those who are bound by desire see only the outward container. The outward container, of course, is life. All the activity in life, all the phenomenon or the phenomena of life are the outward container. And the will to life, the thing that would have us drive on and maintain our existence and do all the things that might allow us to acquire some kind of power, all those things are longing. While we have that and are driven by it, then we're only going to see phenomena. We're not going to see what is behind the phenomena, because we are engaging in phenomena. So if we are obsessed with, enchanted by phenomena, then we're not going to rest down into what's beneath that. And a wonderful quote here from Ryokan, a Zen master around about the 18th century, I believe. Beautiful, beautiful lines. "Too lazy to be ambitious. I gradually left it all up to fate. In the sack, 3 handsful of rice. By the stove, 1 bundle of firewood. Who cares about delusion and enlightenment? What use is fame and wealth in the world of dust? Inside my hut, the evening rain on the thatch, both legs stretched out in idleness. Well, it evokes something, and that thing that it evokes is the thing that somewhere within all of us we yearn for, a kind of letting go. And then we have another quote from Lao Tzu. Lazily, I drift as though I had no home. All others have enough to spare. I am the one left out. I have the mind of a fool, muddled and confused. When common people scintillate, I alone make shadows. Vulgar folks are sharp and knowing. Only I am melancholy, restless like the ocean blown about. I cannot stop. Other men can find employment, but I am stubborn, I am mean. Alone I am indifferent, because I prize and seek my sustenance from the mother. The mother, of course, being the Tao, by the Tao is meant effectively the natural force of life, the way things naturally go, and men, because of their intellects and their emotional and physical capabilities, are very often driven to try and work against that natural flow of life. So, how do we live a life if we're going to be a zero fool? Well, as I mentioned at the start of this, everything costs something. If you want to pursue ambitions, if you want to mix with or be socially acceptable to everyone you know and so on and so forth, then that will cost you something. If you want to become a zero fool, then you have to let go of all desire, the desire that is naturally within us to maintain our existence and to be acceptable to everybody around us and to acquire power and all that kind of stuff. Very difficult. And I would say really in modern society almost impossible. But, there are shades of grey. We don't have to live completely like a monk. We can have our own activities that are not serving the will to life, so to speak. This is something that Schopenhauer spoke about a great deal. So, aesthetic activities, maybe abstract art, serves no purpose whatsoever. And maybe you don't feel the need to do that. Maybe, like Ryokan, you just decide to lay in your bed listening to the rain. Or maybe you decide just to sit outside and feel the wind on your face. But any activity which is not essentially geared to the continuance of your life is a purer activity, an aesthetic activity. Which is why in the Zen tradition, there are, and in fact in most traditions, there are forms of art which are just there for their own sake. They're not there to serve the will to life and to help people acquire power or money or whatever. So, I decided to produce this podcast because I get inundated with people saying, what do you think of this, what do you think of that, and most of the things that they present are elaborate religious or philosophical or spiritual disciplines or things they've come across. And every time I see one, I sigh, because another person filling themselves with yet more stuff they feel they should do, when the way they should be going is to let go. And U.G. Krishnamurti was kind of correct when he said there is nothing to achieve, there is nothing to go after. But of course you only realize that once you've tried it and found it doesn't work, which may take many people a lifetime to realize. Anyway, the key message in this is that the ZeroFool is the one who can let go, rather than the one who tries to acquire.